You know what? I said I want to take a second take. This is take two. Today it's been crap. One of the worst days of the month for me. Yesterday was brilliant up until about midnight. I was prepared, I was disciplined, I had everything in order. The prior day to that, I'd prepared in advance my lunch from home, all my things gathered together so that when I woke up I just need to clean myself, do the necessities, the essentials, and then I was out the door. So I was a wreck, absolute wreck. And I wasn't very productive at work. So I can't even think straight now. Trying to, what's the word? Trying to compose myself to do these videos. Anyhow, try and get it together. We finished page 20, I believe. Yeah, we finished reading page 19, and just a brief recap of what we was going over. We'd seen some examples of how people who had identified their ways of learning became successful in doing so. Beethoven, he left behind an enormous number of sketchbooks, yet he never actually looked at them when he composed. He asked why he kept them, and the reporter said he was reported to have replied, "If I don't write them down immediately, I forget right away. If I put them in a sketchbook, I never forget, and I never have to look at them again." So, once again, we've all got naturally inclined ways of learning, processing information. We shouldn't fight against it, otherwise we'll fall short. And he gave two examples. I can't remember off the top of my head. That's right. Lyndon Johnson and Dwight Einstein. No, Dwight Eisenhower. That's right. Dwight Eisenhower. Yeah, so they will not perform or achieve. Few listeners can be made or can make themselves into competent readers, vice versa. The listener who tries to become a reader will therefore suffer the same fate as those two names that I just mentioned. So, picking up from page 20. Some people work best as team members. Others work best alone. Some are exceptionally talented as coaches or mentors. Others are simply incompetent as mentors. Another crucial question is, do I produce results as a decision maker or as an advisor? A great many people perform best as advisors, but cannot take the burden and pressure of making the decision. A good many other people, by contrast, need an advisor to force themselves to think. Then they can make decisions and act on them with speed, self-confidence, and courage. This is a reason, by the way, that the number 2 person of an organization often fails when promoted to the position of number 1. The top spot requires a decision maker. Strong decision makers often put somebody they trust into number 2 spot as their advisor. And in that position, the person is outstanding. But in the number 1 spot, the same person fails. He or she knows what the decision should be, but cannot accept the responsibility of actually making it. Other important questions to ask include, do I perform well under stress? Or do I need a highly structured and predictable environment? Do I work best in a big organization or a small one? Few people work well in all kinds of environments. Again and again, I've seen people who were very successful in large organizations flounder miserably when they moved into smaller ones. And the reserve is equally true. The conclusion bears repeating. Do not try to change yourself, you are unlikely to succeed. But work hard to improve the way you perform, and try not to take on work you cannot perform or will only perform poorly. and so reach the second subtitle. What are my values? To be able to change to be able to manage yourself, you finally have to ask, what are my values? This is not a question of ethics. With respect to ethics, the rules are the same for everybody, and the test is a simple one. I call it the mirror test. In the early years of this century, the most highly respected diplomat of all the great powers of the German ambassador in London. He was clearly destined for great things, to become his country's foreign minister, at least if not its federal chancellor. Yet, in 1906 he abruptly resigned, rather than preside over a dinner given by the diplomatic corps for Edward VII. The king was a notorious womanizer and made it clear what kind of dinner he wanted. The ambassador is reported to have said, "I refuse to see a pimp in the mirror in the morning as I shave." That is the mirror test. Ethics requires that you ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to see in the mirror in the morning? What is the ethical behavior in one kind of organization or situation is ethical behavior in another? But ethics is only a part of a value system, especially of an organization's value system. To work in an organization whose value system is unacceptable or incompatible with one's own condemns a person to be both frustration, condemns a person both to frustration and to non-performance. Consider the experience of a highly successful human resource executive whose company was acquired by a bigger organization. After the acquisition, she was promoted to do the kind of work she did best, which included selecting people for important positions. The executive deeply believed that a company should hire people for such positions from the outside only after exhausting all of the inside possibilities. But her new company believed in first looking outside to bring in fresh blood. There is something to be said for both approaches. In my experience, the proper one is to do some of the both. They are, however, fundamentally incompatible, not as policies but as values. They bespeak different views of the relationship between organizations and people, different views of the responsibility of an organization to its people and their development, and different views of a person's most important contribution to an enterprise. After several years of frustration, the executive quit at considerable financial loss. Her values and the values of the organization simply were not compatible. Similarly, whether a pharmaceutical company tries to obtain results by making constant small improvements or by achieving occasional highly expensive and risky breakthroughs is not primarily an economic question. The results of either strategy may be pretty much the same. At bottom, there is a conflict between a value system that sees a company's contribution in terms of helping physicians do better what they already do, and the value system that is orientated towards making scientific discoveries. Whether a business should be run for short-term results or with the focus of long-term is likewise a question of values. Financial analysts believe that businesses can be run for both simultaneously. Successful business people know better. So financial analysts believe that businesses can be run for both simultaneously. Successful people know better. To be sure, every company has to produce short-term results. But in any conflict between short-term results and long-term growth, each company will determine its own priority. This is primarily a disagreement about economics. It is fundamentally a value conflict regarding the function of a business and the responsibility of management. Value conflicts are not limited to business organizations. one of the fastest growing pastoral churches in the United States, measures success by the number of new parishioners. Let me just quickly search up what that was. Even worse is spelling it. Parishioners. Okay, alright, so it's an inhabitant of a particular church, parish. One who's a regular churchgoer. In a Christian church, a small administrative district typically having its own church and priest or pastor, the smallest unit of a local government. Anyway, church, in a Christian church. So, parishioner is someone who's regularly going to a church. Type of church. So where was I? Where the hell did I finish? Conflict regarding function of business and responsibility of virtue. So value conflicts are not limited to business organisation. One of the fastest growing pastoral churches in the United States measures success by the number of new parishioners, regular ongoing church members. Its leadership believes that what matters is how many newcomers join the congregation. The good Lord will then minister to the spiritual needs, or at least to the needs of the sufficient percentage. So another pastoral evangelical church believes that what matters is the people's spiritual growth. The church eases out newcomers who join but do not enter into its spiritual life. And just covering what we've just reviewed of what we covered so far, the points that it's making is that it's zooming out into a larger picture, a larger framework of things, and it's identifying how even organizations manage themselves, how an organization will best be successful choosing a particular state to work from. And it gave the example of how a church focuses more upon acquiring new members as opposed to enriching the current members that it has. And the argument there is that although one church the one church which focuses upon the acquisition of new members may have a larger count of people, that's not stable as such. And the people for which it has in its organisation isn't of high quality. Whereas a church which focuses upon the quality and the spirituality of its current members, who looks to delve into the spiritual life and activity of each of its current participating parishes. I think parishioners, yeah, that's right, parishioners. It would grow, and it has a more fixed rate of attending people. And when I think about that, I automatically think about how an organisation may either choose to work with the people that it currently employs, like my current job does, my current company does, they outsource a lot of different forms of training for each of its employees to access online within the intranet. And that is different to some other organisations which may just choose to replace a lot of its current members or employ a lot more members from outside of its realm. Just trying to think of the positives and negatives of both. You can weigh them up, and sorry, I'm just trying to get my thoughts today. It's just been so crazy. Yeah. I can clearly see the positives of working with the people that you currently have. Once again, it's the higher quality of the volume that you currently got. It's less volume to begin with, but I think that's something that can be built upon and increased steadily. And you've got less people leaving and what have you. Whereas the other approach where you're just bringing in new people, there's no stability as such. There's no fundamental structure to it, and it's a lot more loose. Whereas there are positives within introducing new members constantly, in that you get diversity, you get fresh blood into the organisation, which can be good in a sense. I mean, I know it's always been a good thing when you see new temp staff coming in, because there's someone new and interesting. They bring a new atmosphere, a new vibe into the workplace, and once again, it's just that emphasis upon diversity. You've got something new to look forward to. It's fresh, it's refreshing. However, when you've got a more stable structure, when you've worked and enhanced the quality of the people that you've currently got in your organisation, then you get high efficiency at less cost, less investment, and at a more manageable rate. Whereas when you're recruiting new people, there's a period of time for which there's lower productivity, because you have to teach them the framework, teach them how the ins and outs of things are and what have you. But anyway, back to the book. That's what we covered so far. And I think what I'll do is I'll just save going over the highlights and the quotations for when we finish the 10 pages. Just going to try and mix up and see how this goes, approaching it this way. So, where do we start? That's it. Again, this is not a matter of numbers. At first glance, it appears that the second church grows more slowly, but it retains a far larger population of newcomers than the first one does, as I previously said. You retain more by focusing upon the development of the people that you've already acquired. So it increases the quality. So its growth, in other words, is more solid. This is also not a theological problem, or only second. Let me just refresh. But retains a far larger population of newcomers than the first one does. Its growth, in other words, is more solid. This is also not a theological problem, or only secondarily so. It is a problem about values. In a public debate, one pastor argued, "Unless you first come to church, you will never find a gate to the kingdom of heaven." "No," answered the other, "until you first look for the gate to the kingdom of heaven, you don't belong in the church." Organizations like people and values. To be effective in an organization, a person's values must be compatible with the organization's values. They do not need to be the same. but they must be close enough to coexist. Otherwise, the person will not only be frustrated, but also will not produce results. A person's strengths and the way that they perform rarely conflict. The two are complementary, but there is sometimes a conflict between a person's values and his or her strengths. What one does well, even very well and successfully, may not fit with one's value system. In that case, the work may not appear to be worth devoting one's life to, or even a substantial portion thereof. If I may, allow me to interject a personal note. Many years ago, I too had to decide between my values and what I was doing successfully. I was doing very well as a young investment banker. That's it, investment banker in London in the mid-1930s. And here's the last page. And the work clearly fit my strengths. Yet I did not see myself making a contribution as an asset manager. People, I realised, were what I valued, and I saw no point in being the richest man in the cemetery. I had no money and no other job prospects. Despite the continuing depression, I quit, and it was the right thing to do. Values, in other words, are what should be the ultimate test. And then it leads on to the second, to the third subtitle, but I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to save that for the next video. So, just refreshing our minds and recapping over what we've just learned. There's also a second point that I missed out upon, and that's what is said about people. The people of the organisation and the organisation that they're working for. It's best if the two values correlate with each other. Yeah, I'm just recording a video. It's best if the two value systems correlate with each other. That's how you get the best performance out of the people in the organisation, which will in turn enrich the productivity and the efficiency of the organisation as a whole. Yeah, I'm trying to record right now. So yeah. I'm trying to record right now.
What?
I'm trying to record.
Yeah, I know, but your father is watching that.
What?
Cockroaches.
Yeah, why would I care about cockroaches?
I'm not saying you want to care.
Over my own self-development.
Okay.
Alright, so...
Oh, gosh! I said don't put the stuff outside like this.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so I'm just going to go through a bit through some people. Babe, I'm trying to record. Can you just come inside and I'll come and help you afterwards? Just leave it there, don't strain yourself. Just have some patience. It's been out there the whole time. Just have some patience till I'm finished. I'm nearly finished now.
Okay, I understand. I don't mind that.
I said, can you just wait? This is what I hate about you. You have no patience.
It's okay, look, I can do it by myself.
God help me, please. Please help.
Everything on the floor. I don't know how to put that thing out.
So where was I? Once again, this is why it's important to know your own strengths. Do not become opportunistic. Find grounding within yourself. Identify your strengths and key values. As it says here, the top spot requires a decision maker. This is a reason, by the way, that the number 2 person of an organisation often fails when promoted to the number 1 position. They may have flourished and may have been incredible at the job which they were originally posted at, and due to their performance, they've been offered high-ranking opportunity. However, their strengths may have been more catered toward what they were currently doing, being in support of the person at the top, which would have to make the hard decision because they may have been an advisor. As it says here, strong decision makers often put somebody they trust into the number 2 position as their advisor. And in that position, the person is outstanding. But in that number 1 spot, the same person fails. And I'm going to underline that because that is key. That is key. Other important questions to ask include: do I perform well under stress, or do I need a highly structured and predictable environment? Do I work best in a big organization or a small one? Few people work well in all kinds of environments. Again and again, I've seen people who are very successful in large organizations miserably flounder when they move into small ones. And the reverse is equally true. And here we go. I'm going to underline this as well. Do not try to change yourself. You are unlikely to succeed, but work hard to improve the way in which you perform. And this relates to your naturally inclined way of learning. If you see that your performance is better learning a certain way than another way, then work upon that. Enhance it. Continue to do it. Work with it, experiment within itself, within that particular way, down that avenue, because that's when you're going to keep improving. That's when you're going to keep getting better results for yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to be wasting your time, as this book indicates. And try not to take on work you cannot perform or will only perform poorly. And when you look at things like this, it's understandable as to why a lot of people die of frustration and stress, and why a lot of people live within doubt and fear and what have you. My goodness, because a lot of us aren't aware of these things. A lot of us may even be, like, some of us may even be aware of these things, but we're not actually executing it, putting it into action, taking these words for gospel and actually thinking like, damn, you know, this is my strengths, this is my weaknesses, and this is what I'm going to stick by. It's just gaining that grounding. That's what I want to be able to do. That's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to go into it, I want to be able to say this. These are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is how I perform well. And see how the organisation can cater towards those things, because that's when I can perform, that's when I can shine, and that's when lots of opportunities are going to open up to me. To be able to manage yourself, you finally have to ask, what are my values? This is not a question of ethics. Well, I know for one thing, like, I'm great at drawing. I'm naturally gifted when it comes to drawing. I've always been told that. And as it said in the last few pages, I think it was the first 10 pages that we read, where it says feedback analysis, and that's a good way to judge and determine what it is that you're gifted at. I've been trying to see so you can see more than my teeth marbles. Feedback analysis. The compliments that you've been given from since you were at a young age, the things which you've always been inclined to do, drawing, I love doing it. But this is a conflict of my values, because I'm very good at drawing grotesque, evil-looking things. And things which deprive of a sexual nature. Don't ask me why. I should definitely edit that out. Fuck it. Like, I don't know why. I've always loved drawing girls and what have you. What's it? Woman. That's so twisted. But yeah, like, I draw a woman with guitars and everything like that, a woman with snake hair. Yeah, I love all that shit. You can check some of my artwork out. I'll probably post some of it up, but it goes against my value system. I know this life is temporary. I believe that God exists, and there's no way that I want to be condemned or whatever you are in the afterlife. So fuck that. But yeah, bloody hell. I'm sort of losing the plot right now. Let me just underline that. To be able to manage yourself, you have to ask, what are my values? This is not a question of ethics. The mirror test. So, there it goes. Giving an example of someone else's life. Just skip past that part. I think that's something there. To work in an organisation to value system is unacceptable and incompatible with one's own condemns a person to both frustration and non-performance. That's another good quote there. So if you're working for an organisation where their value system is unacceptable or incompatible with your own, or to someone that you've employed, they're just going to be frustrated, which in turn leads to poor performance or non-performance. So this is something you need to identify within yourself, highlight and address. Or if you're a business owner, then this book indicates that you should know your employees well, know the people that you're managing well enough to be able to make the discernment and take action upon it. So, goes into another example. Another example. There's something there. Whether a business should be run for short-term results or with a focus on the long-term is likewise a question of values. Financial analysts believe that the business can be run for both simultaneously. Successful business people know better. To be sure, every company has to produce short-term results, but in any conflict between short-term results and long-term growth, each company will determine its own priority. Organisations, like people, have values. To be effective in an organisation, a person's values must be compatible with the organisation's values. They do not need to be the same, but they must be close enough. Once again, it's that correlation. Otherwise, people will not be frustrated, but they will not be able to produce results. So I just had that one. So let's finish the top. So that was organisations, like people, have values. To be effective in an organisation, a person's values must be compatible with the organisation's values. They do not need to be the same, but they must be close enough to coexist. Otherwise, a person will not only be frustrated, but not produce results. See, and, that's another thing that I'm picking up on this book while reading through it. I've identified that it's a lot of things which are common, which may seem as common sense, but they're things which we don't highlight within our minds. They're things that we don't that don't stand out to us necessarily as much. I think they're things that we take for granted a lot of the time, but they're essential. They're essential in the fundamental rules and guidelines to getting performance from anybody that you're working with. So it's always a great idea, I think personally, to have a book like this around. So you just highlight these points, you can read over them. Brilliant. These are the fundamental laws right here. So something doesn't move successfully. So yeah, that's what I want to highlight for now. And that concludes pages 20 to 30, and you'll be able to check out some of the highlights that I make in the book review page that you can find on my Facebook. I'll be adding a link to that in the description as well. So be sure to follow along. You know, it's always good to have something that you can just scroll down and stop and think, you know, that's good. That's some good shit right there. That's going to have value to my life. That's going to have value to my mind. You are what you feed your mind. You are what you feed your mind. And you'll see how this effect has a knock-on effect upon everything else, you know. Taking bits of information, one bit of information could change you. It could change how things operate, it could change the decision that you make 10 years down the line. So make sure that everything you intake is positive, so that you get positive changes. That's from my own personal experience. I've changed quite a lot of things. I was in a much worse place before, and they're continuing to change. Today was a shit day of the month, but just reading through this, it's helped me. Anyway, I'm not going to try and drag it out any longer. It's been 37 minutes, bloody hell. I'm setting new records each and every time. Alright, thank you very much for following along, guys. And I appreciate you bearing with me. My mind's been all over the place. I'm going to try and get this shit on track for tomorrow. Fresh day. Going to be cooking up my chicken. Preparing my lunch from today. Preparing it for tomorrow. Take care.